So you can wear a wig if you're a boy, she said, when you're little, but then when you grow up, you can go to the doctor and be a complete girl. Dr. Stepansky, our dentist, does that? No, there are other doctors, gender-affirming ones. Let's...
This is so stupid. Oh my God.
Children have unlimited imagination. There is no concept of censorship. Feeding them concepts that they are not able to digest, comprehend, and differentiate provides confusion.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about teaching kids about religion then, lady? Or that there's a God who really loves you, but he's also in your head and in your thoughts, and he's listening always, okay? You know how Santa Claus is always watching? God is like Santa Claus on steroids. You're not just gonna get coal for Christmas, okay? You are going to be the coal. We talk a lot about Christianity on this channel, and quite frequently, people try to use it as a kind of gotcha on me, where they say, well, you would never be willing to say these things about Muslims, would you, Hunter? Ha! Even though I've been incredibly harsh towards Islam, even though I've been temporarily banned on Twitch once for getting too heated when discussing Islam, like, the truth be told, I go pretty hard on most religious beliefs, particularly religious beliefs that I think are leading to a harm. And what we're about to watch is a perfect example of religious beliefs leading to a harm. This was 2 months ago, so I acknowledge that it is a little bit older, but these are Muslim parents railing against Maryland schools, primarily because of LGBT issues. And if I'm not mistaken, Muslim status as political punching bag fades. Some are fighting against LGBTQ acceptance. For months, hundreds of religious parents have regularly rallied outside a Maryland school board building, furious at curriculum featuring books that portray LGBTQ+ families to elementary school kids. Waving American flags, they have chanted against indoctrination of children. They've sued to pull their kids from lessons and argued their case on Fox News. Dude, I always said that conservatives and the more like radical side of Islam have a lot in common. The controversy in an overwhelmingly blue Washington, D.C. suburb highlights a shift. For decades, Muslims have been focused on fighting back against accusations of terrorism, but now in clashes in left-leaning, diverse areas from the coast to the heartland, they're speaking out about what they see as intolerant of their faith. Of course, so this is the classic, Christians do this exact same thing too, right? The classic, because my religious beliefs are bigoted, if you try to teach people to not be a bigot, then now you're oppressing me and my precious, fragile little religion. You can't have a bigoted religious belief, and then when people are taught to not be bigoted and to be accepting of something that your backwards religion says is bad for some dumb reason, no, you're not the one who's oppressed here. You're the one trying to do the oppressing, and you're failing. The school system believes it is being inclusive towards LGBTQ parents and students, says the Maryland director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Okay, but in doing that, it is not being inclusive towards another set of parents and students. Yeah, because again, one set is, hey, I was born this way, or hey, this is my identity. Can you please not treat me like I'm a subhuman piece of garbage for that? And the other is, no, I chose to believe this thing that says that you're actually living in sin. Like, these are not comparable, okay? Being inclusive towards people for intrinsic qualities or for their identity. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's valuable that Muslims are respected so far as their religious identity goes. I don't think that people should be mocking them or denying their religious identity or anything of the sort. But I don't think that you can say that because it's my identity, because it's my religion, to stifle the knowledge that other types of people exist. I don't know if that's really fair for you to do. So just to be clear, you can respect the religious identity of Islam, but you can also not respect the fact that that identity apparently carries with it being homophobic or being against other people learning about LGBT people. Similarly, if LGBT people said, hey, we don't want our kids in this lesson that just teaches about religion, as in like a history thing, like, hey, historically, here are some of the religions that people believe, here are the most common religions kind of thing, I would say you need to get over it. Some people are religious. Like that's part of the real world. You shouldn't stifle your kids from that necessarily. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this video now and see what they say. Muslim parents rail at school board for 6 minutes straight.
Dear Diary, it's hard being 6. Today we read a weird book, My Rainbow. It was about a boy who wanted to be a girl. He was a transgender girl. A transgender girl? That's a big word for somebody my age.
Apparently it's a hard word for somebody your age too, lady.
My teacher asked me if I was a cis girl. Well, what's that? A girl who wants to be a girl. Well, why can't I just be a girl?
Well, I am so confused by what we're listening to. Her voice is very grating as well.
Because, she said loudly, a girl can be many things. Can everything be many things or just people? My teacher said I was asking too many questions. But that...
Can anything be many things? There are parameters by which you can be things. Can humans be flying machines? No. Can humans be religious by acquiring certain identities and internal beliefs? Yes. This is the typical, because gender is a social construct and an identity, now you get all these dumb conservatives that are like, oh, well, did you know that now I identify as a gazillionaire? So if you don't give me money, you're not respecting my identity. Haha. Just if there are some things that are identities and some things that can be one thing but many things, like a human is one thing, but they can have many different identities and perceptions of themselves in regards to certain concepts, who they are in regards to gender, their career, maybe their parents, etc. But yeah, this is the same exact thing they do all the time, where they say that because gender can be identified with, now that means everything. No, there are obviously parameters there. Some things you can identify as and identify with, and other things you can't. We all recognize this, by the way. They only do this like delusional, so does that mean now I can do this with everything kind of crap when it's on this specifically?
But that's what happens if I don't understand things, hard things. So a boy just has to wear a wig to be a girl? So you can wear a wig if you're a boy, she said, when you're little, but then when you grow up, you can go to the doctor and be a complete girl.
There is no way this was actually taught in schools. She's making this up, by the way. Again, this is the conservative nightmare, the horrifying idea that a teacher is like secretly brainwashing their kid into transing later on in life, which, by the way, doesn't even make any sense, because I think we all have had enough experience with younger kids to know that they can get all excited about wanting to do something when they grow up and they forget about it by tomorrow. This is not what's happening. Second of all, no, you don't just have to put on a wig to be a girl. It's about the internal sense of self. So if you have an internal sense of self that you align more so with certain views or expectations, that collection of feminine expression, then odds are you will take steps to express that externally. But it is not the external expression that actually validates your claims of being trans. It is the internal identity that holds the weight.
Dr. Stepansky, our dentist, does that? No, there are other doctors, gender-affirming ones.
This is so stupid. Oh my God.
Can I be an animal, miss? A pig? Sure. I came home and mommy had made...
That doesn't make any sense. No. Why can we identify with genders? Because it is, one, an external social construct where we have a collective understanding of certain expressions and behaviors that we tend to categorize as being masculine and feminine. And that external construct influences an internal perception, since we are all, one way or another, socialized into gender from the get-go. It's that simple, okay?
I came home and mommy had made pork chops. I couldn't eat a pig being a...
Wait. Isn't that against Islam to eat pork chops?
Can we just keep it simple? I don't want to choose between my mommy and my teacher. Aren't they both supposed to be right? Now I ask you all,
Actually, yes, to a degree, but it's possible that one person can have ultimately like the correct opinion, but they could be explaining it incorrectly, and vice versa. So you have to look at it both ways. One, in the story you're telling, both the mom and the teacher in your story are f***ing insane people. They're both wrong, okay? But the underlying principle is one side is saying being trans is bad and a sin, and the other side is saying that being trans is okay, and it's okay to be accepting of those people. That's the correct side because of our understanding on these subjects, the fact that we have an understanding of what gender is and how that forms an internal sense of self, etc., etc. We have an understanding of that. You don't get to just say, my magical sky daddy, who apparently delivered his message to a says being gay is bad. So now it's a sin. So now if you try to tell my kids reality, I'm going to throw a little hissy fit.
Can you guarantee that these discussions are not taking place post-reading My Rainbow? Children...
Even the people in the background are laughing at her. Lady, oh my God, not only is her entire story the worst fan fiction I've ever heard in my life, but she's actually going a very fallacious route here. She just made up a random story and then said, now it's on you to prove that this isn't happening.
Children have unlimited imagination. There is no concept of censorship. Feeding them concepts that they are not able to digest, comprehend, and differentiate provides confusion.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about teaching kids about religion then, lady? Or that there's a God who really loves you, but he's also in your head and in your thoughts, and he's listening always, okay? You know how Santa Claus is always watching? God is like Santa Claus on steroids. You're not just going to get coal for Christmas, okay? You are going to be the coal. Maybe that's something that's a little bit, I don't know, not very healthy for kids to learn about, lady. I guarantee you this woman would go into a diabetic coma if anybody challenged her on teaching kids about religion and specifically Islam, her own faith.
And distorts view on their simple reality. I will not strip my children of this innocence. I will not put them in the center of...
But telling them about hell, that's not stripping them of any innocence. No, no, no.
Highway with traffic coming from all different directions. They are mine, not yours. Reinstate opt-out.
First of all, they're your kids as far as like you had them and gave birth to them, but they are also actually their own people as well, okay? That's the first thing you should remember. They're not yours. They're not your little puppets that you get to control. I know that you think that you're God's little puppet, so you're just doing the right thing because you think that God is commanding you on how to raise your kids because you're clearly delusional, but still, they're not actually yours. They also have autonomy and goals and desires, and eventually you're not always going to be able to control them so much. But even more so, it's just hilarious that she's like, they're not yours, they're mine. You already sent them to the f***ing school, you absolute degen. Are you this dumb? Are you this lost? You're clearly okay giving up some level of control over your kids because you sent them off to the public school.
Hello everyone, thank you for allowing me to speak today on behalf of the 80% of the population of different cultures and religion who have the mutual concerns regarding ongoing school issues. According to the new data released by the State Department of Education, there's a large decrease in language arts proficiency with only 42%, while math proficiency is decreased by 31% in MCPS. Moreover, restrooms in MCPS have become dangerously unsafe due to overdoses of drugs, assaults, and fights, according to the Washington Post. These statistics are self-evident that MCPS is failing to provide the structure that ensures not only academic success but also a safe environment for the students, which is the sole purpose for which they were elected. Funded by parents' tax funds, the board has a great responsibility to trust the parents and protect the parental rights and work on improving academic achievements in a school while leave the spiritual, moral, and social teachings for the home. Furthermore,
you would love that, wouldn't you? To have all the moral teachings be done at home, right? So that your kids can learn how moral it is for a woman to cover herself up because it's her fault if the man lusts after her. This is what I mean is these people are not angry about quote unquote indoctrination of their children, okay? They're just mad that they aren't the ones who get to do the indoctrination. That's it.
Furthermore, restrooms are designed to fulfill the biological need and are not a place to determine gender identity. So the restrooms should be separated by their biological gender in order to decrease the misuse of these policies, which has been proved by some terrible incidents in other states.
Where, please? They always say this, but this just isn't true. This is why I always bring up that study that did the data collection where they looked at states that implemented policies that allowed for trans people to use the bathroom that correlated with their gender identity. And there was no increase in SA in those states. That just didn't happen.
School systems always have welcomed children with all types of mental challenges as well as different religious ideologies without teaching challenged behavior or one's ideology to the other students.
See, this is the problem, is they're against this stuff being taught in schools. Maybe if this stuff was taught in schools, we would have less stupid like you. Have you ever thought about that? Like maybe it's actually you are a testament to the fact that this education is so desperately needed because you're a dumb piece of shit. We can have less people be dumb pieces of shit if we continue towards the general acceptance of this kind of education, again, so long as it's appropriate and age appropriate as well.
We're asking board members to restore the opt-out, trust us, and convince us intellectually instead of depriving us from our constitutional rights.
Convince us intellectually? How is anyone going to be convinced intellectually if you are just going to take your kids out of the lessons where they can learn about this kind of stuff to learn about it and then challenge it intellectually?
My last message is for the LGBT community. Asking for the opt-out from the LGBT subject doesn't mean we're denying your child's existence, and it doesn't indicate we're against your community. It simply means we all belong to a highly civilized nation under one God who can respectfully agree to disagree on personal beliefs. Thank you.
Ah, yes, it's just a personal belief, you know? I believe that this person, due to their sexuality, is, you know, a sinful heathen degenerate who is doomed to hell, maybe more likely to be a and I would never want my kids learning about this person ever. Keep my kids away from them. I will get my kids out of all the lessons that teach this kind of stuff. God forbid they ever learn that anything else in this world exists. Can't we just agree to disagree? No, we can't.
Thank you. So I think everyone said, you know, how we feel as religious families, right? We want to be heard. We want our choice. We want our option. And our option is to opt out.
What about your kids' option? It's not for you, right? It's for your kids. Do they have an option in this? Oh, right. No, I'm sorry. I forgot. God gives you special commands in your head. That other voice in your head is a little God telling you what to do. And that's how you determine what or how to raise your children. That's right.
Unfortunately, what we're seeing is, you know, this other group is having the ability to control us. They're being able to tell us, no, you must sit down. NIH, CDC, American Psychiatric Association, they did a lot of studies on what's beneficial for the LGBTQ community, and you implemented all 4 of their of what they said you should implement, right? They gave you 4 options.
How is this a bad thing so far?
They said implement these things that'll help them. I read through it. You did all 4. You've done all 4. What none of those covered, none of those agencies covered, and I know someone last week spoke last, they said Trevor Project, 45%. They're throwing out numbers, false numbers, fake numbers. Go to NIH, go to CDC, go to the American Psychiatric Association and get real numbers. And there was nothing in there about what happens when you remove the opt-out. There's been no studies on this. This is just, I know you guys aren't making the decision. It would be foolish of us parents to believe that you all are making these decisions. We know it's coming from somewhere else. You can have.
What? Okay, I was joking before about the voice in his head. Now I'm actually not. I just take it back. Okay, it's not a joke anymore. It was all serious prior. There's studies showing that when people are more accepting, the world is a better place. There's studies showing that exposure is oftentimes what helps people become more accepting. This is why communities that are more diverse, people are less racist in those communities. This is why communities that are less diverse, people tend to be a little bit more racist in those communities. This is why ignorance can sometimes contribute to transphobia or homophobia. Because you've never been exposed to this in a healthy way, all you see are these crazy caricatures, or you hear this religious, schizophrenic rambling from your father, then you're never going to have a good understanding of these subjects to begin with. I just fail to see how this is like the worst thing ever for these people. It's a good thing. Good that people are becoming more accepting.
So stand up for us too. There's a lot of us in this community, and we don't agree with that lifestyle. And when we look at it, we say
that lifestyle. See, they always just expose that they're ignorant. It's not a lifestyle, dude. You know that actually being a Muslim is closer to being closer to a lifestyle than being gay, right?
Let us live and let live. Let us opt out. We don't want this. Stop trying to force it on us.
Wow.